Kirt Collins has lived in Atlas since 1957. That is phenomenal. Age of 2, is that right? And you attended the Atlas School.
Nope.
And you've been on the ABAC.
Yes.
All right, representing Squire Canyon.
There you go.
Okay, and we want to hear the stories from you. I'm assuming you have more than one. Give it a go.
Just a couple. Yes, my family moved onto the old Apple Road, right across from the apple farm where DiVincenzo started this business there. That old house that fell in, if you see, I lived in that house. We started a dairy there in 1957. We had Holstein cattle, and we had about 50 of them. And we had a milk barn and a large barn there, and all across the highway there, it was full of alfalfa because that's what we would feed our cattle, and we would milk them twice a day. And my Uncle Joe and my mom's was married to my Uncle Joe, my mom's twin sister. And I did not go to Alba School, I went to Bellevue Santa Fe School. And they didn't have a kindergarten in those days, so I started when I was 6 years old in first grade. And I remember it was a two-room schoolhouse. First grade, second grade, and third grade was in one side, fourth, fifth, and sixth in the other. And then they started building the new school over here by the mouth of Sea Canyon. And in fact, I have a picture. Could you pull that up? My cousin Scott Wynn painted this picture of Bellevue Santa Fe. And anyway, I thought I'd just bring this kind of what it used to look like. And I'll never forget when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, I was going to this school. Wow. And our teacher asked us to just all go outside and just think about what a great president he was. And it was just really a movie time. And I was just a little kid, but I remember that. And so anyway, when I was in fourth grade, we moved to the new school. And then when I was in fifth grade, they closed the Avila school. And we used to always play Avila, the elementary school here, in softball. And they would wipe us out every year. They were so good. The Lepleys, the Coys, the Rudas, all those guys. And we were afraid of them anyway because they're a lot bigger than we were. But anyway, so that was kind of fun. I mentioned earlier, thanks, Katie, earlier that we had a dairy farm. We bought the cows from Romeo Serafico, and he had a chicken farm that is located right now where the PG&E Information Center is. So when we're sitting there in ABAC, I went there probably back in about 1960, and I'd go there and his wife would give me cookies and my dad would talk to him and wheel and deal about cows and pigs and things like that. His son, Jimmy Serafico, had a dairy on Monty Road, and it was a very large dairy. We only had 50 cows, he probably had about 200, and they had a very big business going on there. And so, anyway, it was fun growing up there, and as time went on, I got to know my neighbors. And next door to us, between the Sycamore Springs, there was a house, and Cecil Ray Goodchild lived in that. And some of you may have heard that name. He's a very famous painter in those days. And he used to paint all kinds of boats out in the ocean. He would do a lot of things from the old California days. He painted all the missions. And I have a painting that I have of his. Yes, thank you. And also, he used to make etchings, and these are like Old West things with gunfighters and people robbing banks, and then he would make postcards and sell these. And I got to know him really well. And later on, he built the first house up above Squire Canyon. My parents built the first one in Squire Canyon. And his wife was a silent movie star, and she was the piano player for Jack Benny. Very interesting people, I can't tell you. He had an African lion, he had a boa constrictor, and I would get to babysit those for him when he would go to school. So I would spend the weekend at his place, and he would go up and down the coast painting. And so anyway, it was kind of an interesting time. I always loved fishing, and I would try to make it to Avila as often as I could. I'd go out on the pier with my friends and fish. We used to get crabs, and where the Ocean Grill is located, it used to be a fish market. And he always had a big, huge steam pot going, and he'd boil crabs, and you could buy them, or you could take your own, and for 5 cents, he would boil them up, and then me and my friends would go and pull a pair of pliers out of the tackle box, break it open, and we'd just sit right on the wall of Avila, and we'd eat crab. And those were the days, I'll tell you.